Hello citizens, and welcome to my video about bunkers in Star Citizen. Some of you have probably noticed that the turrets around bunkers on Hurston and Microtech have gone through some changes. Most notable changes are that the range has increased to about 4 to 5 kilometers, along with a small increase in accuracy and damage. This is a significant buff compared to previous patches. Along with that, we finally have the ability to target the turrets and lock missiles onto them. So what does this mean? Basically, air assaults on bunkers, while not impossible, have become more difficult and more dangerous. So you can still grab a gunship or some fires and assault the bunker from the air head-on just fine, but you might be exposing yourself to a bit too much danger, especially once you get within the effective range of about 2 kilometers, at which point the turret starts scoring a lot more hits. So let's explore some options. My option number 1 is not too far from the original air attack. My idea here is that most bunkers are surrounded by hills or trees or debris that you can use to pick an approach that covers you from the incoming fire, until you get close enough to effectively shoot back at the turrets. Now, the drawback of this approach is that weather might be giving you trouble when approaching the target, and also the cover that you use to get up close might be preventing you from effectively engaging your target. And I actually went out and tested this at a couple of bunkers, and I think it could be refined into an effective tactic, but I think we can do better. Which brings me to option number 2, which is get up close using cover and then use missiles. Now, I thought this would work great because you can lock on, fire, and then hide back into cover. But this doesn't work due to the recent changes to missile mechanics, where missiles have a minimum engagement range, which prevents you from locking onto targets that are closer than some distance. Now, the turrets usually show up on radar somewhere between 1 kilometer and 1.5 kilometer of distance, which is too close for most missiles. This could work with a ship that has a bigger detection range, but still, by the time you're locked onto target, you might be taking a lot of damage from the turrets. So with that in mind, this branch of thinking is kind of a dead end, but I included it in this video anyway because I wanted to paint a full picture of my thought process on the topic. And that leaves us with ground assault. As far as my testing has shown, bunker turrets won't fire on characters or vehicles. I parked my transport ship behind the hill for cover, and then I took my cyclone to the bunker. The turrets would happily fire at the hill and ignore me for the entire duration of this test. Along with this, I tested vehicle weapons and heavy weapons against the turrets. Turns out it takes about a minute of sustained fire from a cyclone or an Ursa to take down a turret. As far as heavy weapons go, I tried the railgun, the rocket launcher and the grenade launcher, but I only managed to get a turret kill using 5 rounds from the railgun. The other weapons didn't seem to have any effect on the turret. I'm thinking this might be due to the different nature of the damage, where the railgun is a projectile and the launchers do mostly splash damage. Now, take the rocket launcher with a grain of salt, because I believe I'm supposed to be able to lock it on target, which I wasn't able to do in this case. But as far as the turrets are concerned, you don't actually have to destroy them because they will never fire at you. Though I'm sure this is going to get fixed in the future and ground vehicles and ground personnel won't be safe either. Which brings me to my final idea. You could combine using ground and air assets to assault the bunker. Assuming the turrets are updated to attack ground vehicles, I think the go-to strategy for destroying them could be using distractions. Meaning give them too many things to fire at and force them to switch targets too often to do a lot of damage. So I propose something like this. First, you send in your bombers to do as much damage as possible from a distance. Second, go in your dropships to do a flyby and drop off some cyclones. And finally, your fires and cyclones distract and damage the turrets using cover and hit and run tactics. My thought process here is that cyclones will have an easier time finding cover and the fires are going to have an easier time running away. And once the turrets are destroyed, you can have your dropships land at the bunker, drop off ground troops to clear it and pick up the cyclones. Obviously, in the future, you're going to be able to use Nova tanks to assault objectives. So to close things off, I feel that bunker missions became a little more dangerous and a little more difficult due to this. And with that increase of risk and difficulty, we should have seen an increase in reward, especially if you try to use as many assets as I described in the last example. Obviously, there are easier and less resource-intensive ways to accomplish the mission. This thought process doesn't just apply to the bunkers that we currently have in game, but in the future it is going to apply to any ground structure that we're going to try to assault, for example player bases. If you have some other ideas on how to approach bunkers as the defenses get more dangerous, go ahead and share your thoughts in the comments. Also, if you have any idea of what I was doing wrong with the rocket launcher, please let me know as well. With that being said, that's it for tonight. As always, the things I mentioned here are my opinion and you probably have a different opinion, and feel free to share it in the comments as long as you keep it civil. Fly safe, clear some bunkers, and I will see you in the verse.